Sarah had always been a woman in whom softness and strength intertwined. Modest, calm, reserved, she seemed almost invisible to those around her, until one day they realized that everything held together because of her. At work, unnoticed yet irreplaceable. In the family, the one who cared for everyone but herself. Even her friends often said, "You're like tea without sugar. You don't scream about yourself, but without you, nothing feels right." But Sarah's personal life had always been like a failed recipe. All the ingredients seemed there, but no taste. A few attempts at relationships, each repeating the same script. At first, compliments, calls, flowers. Then, disappearances, manipulations, reproaches. And every time, Sarah blamed herself. Maybe I'm too demanding, or maybe too convenient. By 28, she no longer had illusions, but she wasn't bitter either. She simply lived, worked as an accountant in a private clinic, read novels in the evenings, took care of her grandmother Evelyn. Evelyn was her anchor. She never coddled, never pitied unnecessarily, but with a single glance could instill confidence. She would say simply, "A man is not air. You can't live without air, but without a man, easily. Just don't forget who you are in the relationship." When Sarah met Daniel, it seemed fate had finally remembered her. Tall, confident, charming, he courted her beautifully, spoke well. Compared to her past, Daniel felt like a breath of fresh air. He drew close to her quickly, as if in a hurry to claim his place. Within 2 weeks, he was calling her "my woman." Within a month, "my future wife." Sarah felt awakened. She smiled more often, sang over her morning coffee, shared plans. Even Evelyn noticed. But when Sarah, glowing, told her that Daniel suggested moving in together, Evelyn only nodded and said quietly, "And how will you feel in that house with him, not cramped?" "Grandma, he's so caring. He even helps wash dishes, not like the others." "Washing dishes is good," Evelyn smiled. "But remember, what someone does from the heart, they'll do for a long time. What's just for show ends quickly. Watch carefully. Don't rush. You're my only one. And this house, it will wait for you. And let it always stay yours. Not just by papers, by spirit. Even if they repaint the walls one day, don't forget where they came from." Sarah blushed, nodded, but in her heart only one thought rang. Now everything will finally be real. She didn't notice how Daniel, at the very first dinner with Evelyn, said, "Honestly, I hate these old houses. Everything creaks, the kitchen's tiny. I'd tear it all out and redo it completely." Evelyn smirked faintly, while Sarah quickly interjected, "He's joking. He just likes minimalism." But Daniel wasn't joking. More than once he would drop lines like, "Why cling to this old junk? I'd have sold this place already and invested in a proper mortgage. A real family should live on neutral ground." But while Sarah was in love, her hearing was selective. She caught only the affectionate words and silenced the rest. "He just doesn't understand yet how important my grandmother's memory is to me." She dreamed Evelyn would live with them for a few more years. But things turned out differently. Evelyn passed away in her sleep before spring arrived. Weeks earlier, she had again told Sarah, "Remember, kitten, your home isn't just an address. It's your fortress. If someone tries to turn it into a transit station, sweep them out, even if it's love." Sarah brushed it off. "Don't say that, Grandma. I'll manage." She didn't know she would have to manage much sooner. Less than a month after the funeral, Daniel acted. He didn't mention Evelyn, didn't ask questions. He just moved in. "Why should I commute across the city?" he said with a light smile, drying his hands like he had just finished something important. "And you won't be lonely. It's logical. It's convenient. We're family now, not temporary." 2 suitcases, a duffel bag, a few boxes, and Evelyn's carefully kept home turned into a hybrid of something new and foreign.
Daniel's things filled the entryway, pushing aside her grandmother's slippers and lavender rug. In the bedroom appeared his bulky laptop, massive headphones, stacks of tech magazines. Piece by piece, the details disappeared. The blanket Evelyn used near the window, crocheted doilies under vases, embroidered towels. Everything was moved to the balcony or temporarily put in the closet. Sarah held her breath. She tried not to object, spoke softly. She thought, he's just settling in. He'll see. He'll understand. But Daniel's friends started coming too often. Loud, self-confident, foreign. One, a bearded man, even placed his dirty boots on Evelyn's carpet. When Sarah lowered her gaze, he smirked. "Oh, sorry. Is this an antique?" And Daniel laughed. Just laughed. No comment, no defense. Sarah swallowed her irritation. She cleaned floors, washed dishes, cleansed herself of others' words, in silence. Until one day she invited two friends, Emily and Catherine, just for tea. She needed to speak, to hear something. At first they chatted about work, prices, shows. Then Emily carefully said, "Sarah, forgive me, but you've dimmed since living with Daniel. You used to shine, and now it's like you're afraid to offend someone." "Oh, come on," Catherine cut in, bold, independent, voice like a boxing coach. "A man should be master of the house. Otherwise you get a weakling who does laundry on schedule. Daniel's fine, decisive, that's rare." Emily snorted. "Decisive doesn't mean pushing someone out of her own home." "What do you expect? They live together. It's shared space now. He's not living in a museum." "Sarah, don't listen to anyone. If you want a man by your side, learn to yield. You're 30 already." Sarah said nothing. Her throat tightened. Both were right, or both weren't. She only felt that in her life now there were two opposing voices, and neither matched the silence of her own. Later that evening, Daniel raised the topic again. "Listen, we've been together, 6 months? Living as a family. But honestly, how long are we going to sit in this old place? It's outdated. Tiny kitchen, bathroom like a closet." He set his tablet on the table, open to a real estate site. "Look, we could sell or trade. Get a spacious apartment in a good area. Perfect for kids later. Comfortable living." Sarah froze. "You want to sell my grandmother's house?" "Not right away, but think about it. It's a step forward. We're not living in the 80s. And if keeping memories matters that much, we can take some things with us. Or," he saw her face. She didn't shout, didn't argue. She just looked, with surprise, pain, and wariness, as if something sacred inside her had just shattered. All right, Daniel hurried to say. "I'm not insisting. Let's try differently. We'll rent a bigger place for now, near my office. Just a month or two. You'll see, compare, feel. If you don't like it, we'll come back. I just don't want you clinging to walls. Look wider, like an adult." Like an adult. The words pierced Sarah, as if preserving memory, love, and roots was childish, infantile. She didn't answer. She only cleared her cold teacup, washed the sink, and went to the bedroom. For the first time, she locked the door. Sarah was not one for snap decisions. Even with winter boots, she could take 3 days to choose. Everything had to not only serve, but mean something. A home even more so. It wasn't just a space. It was history. The kitchen where her grandmother fried pancakes in the morning, stirring black tea in a glass with a spoon. The windows she stared through before exams, afraid to turn back and lose her fragile confidence. Now all of that felt shaky. Daniel didn't pressure bluntly. Instead, his tone was soft, caring. He sent her photos of apartments, made coffee, whispered, "Just look, temporary experiment, no decisions."
He was logical. It's rational. We're not giving up your place, just living in new conditions. My commute will be 20 minutes instead of 90. You'll get a real kitchen with a dishwasher, a walk-in closet, a park view instead of the parking lot. Honestly, is that bad? He took Sarah to view one. Bright, spacious, sterile. White walls, gray floors, panoramic windows. The smell of fresh paint, but no smell of life. Sarah stood in that emptiness, feeling uneasy. Nothing real would ever happen there. No laughter, no memory. The next morning she dreamed of Evelyn, sitting by the window in her checkered robe, wool shawl over her shoulders, embroidery in hand. Evelyn looked at her and said, "Convenience isn't always home. Home is when even tea tastes different. Change the walls, you might lose the flavor of life. Don't sell your soul for an elevator and new tiles, Sarah." Sarah woke in tears. Her heart raced unevenly. It didn't feel like a dream, but a warning. But later Daniel's voice returned, smooth, affectionate, with a drop of condescension. "I'm not asking you to give up the apartment. Just take a step. What do you lose?" That evening she met with Emily and Catherine. "I don't want to go there," Sarah admitted, stirring her coffee. "It feels like I'd be erasing my grandmother." "Oh, please," Catherine scoffed. "You and your memories. I had the same kind of apartment, tiny, suffocating. I sold it, bought a modern studio. Space, light, a real life. At first it's strange, then it's amazing. Why cling to walls?" "Because they're not just walls," Emily countered softly. "They're her history." "History doesn't block progress," Catherine shot back. "And your guy is ambitious, wants to grow. Rare thing. Don't miss it." Sarah felt trapped. One friend pulled her forward, the other tried to hold her back. That night Daniel whispered, "I love you, but I need you to move forward with me. Don't be a museum keeper. Give yourself a chance." She lay awake, wondering, a chance for what? To lose herself or to be alone? And then, passing by with his coffee, he said almost casually, "You know, I keep thinking, maybe it's time we had a baby." Sarah turned. He was serious. "You'd be a wonderful mom. I knew that from the start." The thought pierced her. A child, their child. Not an argument, not an apartment, but something real, living, future. For the first time in a long while, warmth spread inside. Maybe she was overthinking. Maybe Daniel truly wanted stability, not gain. Maybe he really did love her, just expressing it in his own way. That very day, his mother, Margaret, came by. At first Sarah tensed, but she turned out kind, witty, attentive. She listened to Sarah's stories about Evelyn with genuine interest. "You have such a warm home, Sarah. You can feel a soulful woman lived here. And these windows, who would think an old house could be this cozy?" Sarah melted. She'd expected criticism, but found support. They sat at the kitchen table, drinking tea. Sarah told her about childhood, the wartime letter her grandmother kept, the morning radio at 6 a.m., the Easter cake recipe. Margaret squeezed her hand. "Now those are real roots. I'm glad Daniel's with a girl like you. Nowadays it's all iPhones, sushi, yoga, empty heads. You've got a soul." Sarah felt seen, accepted. Her worries began to fade. The next day Daniel was promoted. He came home glowing, with champagne and pastries. "Now we can afford real life. I'm moving up, we're stable. All we need is more space. If we're planning a baby, we need room, a proper life." He spoke confidently, not pressuring, just drawing a bright future, where the apartment wasn't a home, but a launch pad. "You'll see, Sarah, it's not about money, it's a step, for us." At dinner, Margaret mentioned lightly, "Why not take a joint loan? Sarah has the apartment for security. Buy something new, modern. Rent this out or save it for the child. Many couples do that now. The key is not to be afraid." Later, when Daniel stepped out, Margaret leaned closer. "Men need inspiration, not breaks. He's smart.
You just need to yield a little. You're his wife. A wife is support, not a wall." Sarah nodded mechanically. Everything sounded logical. Puzzle pieces fitting. Baby, loan, new home, supportive mother-in-law, Daniel leading the way. But deep down, a spark of doubt smoldered. Why did her grandmother keep appearing in dreams? Why, even in these bright plans, did she feel like someone else was making the choices? When she met her friends again, Sarah blushed and confessed, "Can you believe it? Daniel suggested we have a baby. Not right now, but seriously. And he got promoted. Says it's time for the next level." Silence fell. Catherine broke it, loud and excited as always. "Sarah, jackpot! Career man, thinking of family, taking responsibility. Promotion, baby plans, sweet mom. He's gold." Sarah smiled shyly. It all sounded perfect, almost too perfect. Emily, quiet, sipped her tea. Her voice was soft, cautious. "It all sounds serious. Just make sure you both want it. No rush. You already have stability here. Your place, your rhythm. Big changes. Are you sure you're ready?" "Oh, come on," Catherine waved it off. "She's not jumping into a pit. It's the future. You're too cautious. Life doesn't wait." Sarah shrugged, but inside she felt squeezed, as if both voices were about her, and yet not hers at all. A couple of days later, Daniel invited a colleague, Michael, and his wife, Jenna, a lively, pleasant pair. Michael wasn't just a colleague, but a corporate lawyer at the same firm. A man in a sharp suit, neatly trimmed beard, and a touch of self-assurance in his voice. He quickly charmed Sarah with jokes, clever remarks, and most of all, his constant praise of the stable, family-oriented approach he and Daniel seemed to share. "We've lived in our new apartment for 2 years now," Michael said. "Yes, with a mortgage, but we never regretted it. The key is setting it up right. Banks give great terms if you have solid collateral, like yours, for instance. And if both names are on the loan, even better. The bank sees a reliable family. Lower rate, higher approval chances. Strong couple, strong deal." He spoke smoothly, persuasively. Sarah found herself almost hypnotized. Everything sounded logical. Shared ownership, flexible payment schedule, insurance, early repayment options. And if you already have an apartment, he added, that's ideal. Rent it out to cover the payments or use it as collateral to lower the rate. I've got sample contracts I can send you, clear and transparent. He glanced at Daniel, who gave a small approving nod. Quick, casual, almost businesslike. Meanwhile, Jenna looked around the kitchen. "It's cozy here, but just imagine how great it'll be in a new build. Space, design, no old-fashioned furniture. Everything brand new, all yours." Sarah smiled, though something pinched inside. Old furniture, as if her grandmother's legacy were just junk. Later, Michael added offhandedly, "Just make sure you read carefully, Sarah, especially the joint liability clause. But I'll help you draft it cleanly, no surprises." "Joint liability," she repeated. "Of course, normal for a family. Obligations are shared. Banks love that. It's about trust, and you two clearly have plenty." He laughed. Daniel joined in. Everyone seemed pleased. Sarah nodded. The word joint floated past her as some legal technicality. The evening was pleasant, safe, reasonable. Michael confident, Margaret gentle, Daniel attentive. Everything seemed to fit. But from the outside, one could notice how Michael swiftly shifted from 2 apartments to one is collateral, another on mortgage. How his terms were too neat, his examples too perfect. How no one mentioned what would happen if one party wanted out, and how Sarah asked no direct questions. Because when everyone sings of the future, it's hard to hear the false notes, especially when you long to believe it's your happy melody. That day, the sun shone brightly. Sarah gazed out the window as Daniel placed a stack of papers before her. A bank contract. Loan approved, terms set. Only her signature remained. "It's standard, Sarah," Daniel said, smoothing the sheets.
Exactly what Michael explained. We checked it together, nothing unexpected. Of course not, Margaret added warmly. Sarah, you're not a lawyer, but you've got one here, and a husband, and you've got love and trust. Isn't that what matters? She laid her hand gently over Sarah's, warm, soft. Sarah sighed. In her mother-in-law's eyes was nothing but kindness. No pressure, no threats, only certainty. I'd like to read it myself, Sarah murmured. Of course, read it, Daniel smirked. But we're late for the realtor. Take a copy home, review it. For now, just sign so we can move forward. It's all for us, Sarah, for the family. Sarah's heart raced. She stared at the clauses. Joint borrowers, collateral, in case of termination, and the words blurred. If you want, I'll explain again later, Daniel said. But trust me, it's fine. I wouldn't risk it. This is our life. She signed. One stroke of a pen. Irreversible. Apartment hunting began immediately. The realtor, a brisk woman in a dusty rose suit, showed them options. But with each viewing, Sarah felt less and less part of the process. "This one's too far," Daniel said. "The school here is weak," Margaret added. "This one's perfect. Great neighborhood. Big kitchen. Sarah, you love cooking, right?" "But the bedroom faces the road. It's noisy," Sarah whispered. "Oh, you're imagining it," Daniel waved off. "What matters is the nursery faces the courtyard. You'll feel safer." Decisions slipped past her like water. "For your comfort. You'll thank us later." But the you in all that comfort felt smaller and smaller. At one showing, Daniel didn't even pause. "This one. We'll take it. Floor plan's fine. Neighborhood's great. Let's do the paperwork." "I'd like to think more," Sarah tried softly. But Margaret already told the realtor, "Prepare the documents. Time is critical. These sell fast." Late that night, Sarah stood at the window. The home she'd shared with Evelyn was now collateral. The new one was chosen for her, and her inner voice had gone silent. Daniel hugged her from behind. "I'm proud of you. We've stepped into the future, together." Again, that honeyed voice, steady, soothing. And Sarah thought, maybe this is right? Maybe doubts were only fear of change? She didn't know that her signature meant, in case of default, the bank would come to her first as owner of the collateral, and that leaving the deal would require Daniel's consent. For now, Sarah just picked wallpapers and curtains, because everything still looked right. The move took only a couple of weeks, renovations another month. Daniel moved fast, assertive, sure-footed. Every step pulsed with energy, from picking tiles to ordering furniture. Margaret joined in with the zeal of an owner, comparing fabrics, debating colors with the designer, choosing kitchens, the caring mother determined to build a cozy nest. At first, Sarah was glad. Everything ran quickly, neatly to plan. So it wasn't for nothing. He really is building a life with me. Yes, he made most decisions. Yes, she was asked less often. But it was all for the family, for the baby, for the common good. Soon, talk of a baby faded, as if it had been just a stage. Now the themes were payments, bank appointments, furniture stores. "Sarah, sort the shelves. I'll swing by Home Market. Kitchen set's on sale. Mom's coming. She's got an eye for this." Weren't we going together? Daniel checked his watch. "Sarah, I don't have time. I'm ducking out of work. It's easier for you. Trust me, it's all for you." Later over dinner, she ventured, "Do you still think about a baby?" His brow ticked up. "Of course, but honestly, not now. I've got the loan and work. I'm grinding to keep us out of debt. And your salary, you know, it wouldn't cover half a payment. What we need now is stability." He sounded calm, logical, but Sarah heard something new. Not partnership, but business. The one who carries the load steers the ship. Next day, Catherine left her new agency early and happened to be near Daniel's office. At the entrance, she spotted him, suit, phone, coffee. He looked different, freer, more assured, a spark in his eyes Sarah hadn't seen in months. "Well, look at that," Catherine said, approaching, familiar face on foreign turf. "Catherine, hey, what are you doing here?" "Work. Our office is right across from yours. Guess we'll be running into each other often," she winked. Short coat, bold makeup, high heels, confident, slightly cheeky, flirting. "You've changed," she said, like a lead in a corporate drama. "Promotion obliges," he smirked. "Promotion, new apartment, wife, mortgage? Don't you get tired of being perfect?" "Sometimes. Results require form." "And you are in form," she murmured. "So, is coffee with a colleague off the clock still allowed?" He held her gaze a beat too long, eyes narrowing, a corner of his mouth twitching. "Think we can arrange that, after hours." "I'll be waiting," Catherine smiled. They parted, but a shadow lingered. Meanwhile, Sarah was unpacking dishes. Margaret's words echoed. "Trust is the core of marriage. Give a man space. He comes back on his own." She believed, for now. But Daniel came home later, wearier, quieter, phone in hand. The same drops falling on the same spot. "If not for this mortgage, if your salary counted for anything, I'm carrying two people." Sarah felt secondary. Margaret nudged, gently but firmly. "Why let your apartment sit idle, Sarah? Rent it out. It helps you. In a family, everything is shared, burdens and decisions." No raised voice, but growing insistence. And across from his office, Catherine and Daniel began meeting for coffee. Red coat, easy smile, light and self-assured. She listened to his tired complaints and whispered, "You deserve a woman who inspires, not stalls you, who moves forward, not back into the past." Daniel watched her with that narrowed look, the one that once belonged only to Sarah. From then on, lunches became coffees, coffees became walks, walks became messages. Catherine sent a dress photo. "Too bold for dinner?" He replied, "Perfect. Everything's perfect on you." He texted Sarah less, late, swamped, don't wait. Catherine was always there, in the loop, light, undemanding. No tears over old furniture, no drama about her grandmother's keepsakes. He knew he was flirting with a line, but it felt too good, too timely, like Sarah once had before she became the wife with a mortgage and a legacy. Meanwhile, Sarah sorted through Evelyn's letters. One line read, "A paper with your signature can be more dangerous than the most deceitful word." And for the first time, she felt somewhere nearby something important was being signed again, and she didn't yet know what. Pressure mounted. Daniel came home tense. Talk of the future shattered into fragments like broken glass. And then, suddenly, "I'm going on a business trip, a couple of days, Chicago, meeting with a client and an internal briefing. Tight schedule, don't miss me." He didn't invite her, didn't leave details, just packed his bag, tossed documents into his backpack, waved and left. In truth, the trip was a lie. Instead of a meeting, a boutique hotel outside New York. Instead of a client, Catherine. She arrived at the lobby like a model in an ad, stylish, confident, radiant. She wrapped her arms around him without asking. "Do you even realize what you are?" she whispered later in the bar over wine and snacks. "You're real, rare, smart, strong with vision. You don't drift, you do." Daniel laughed freely, lighter than he had in months. No dead in his eyes, no fatigue. Listening to Catherine, he felt his value grow in her gaze. "Sometimes," he muttered, staring into his glass, "I regret getting married. Sarah, she's nice, but not driven. Always looking back, always about her grandmother." Catherine stroked his hand. "Maybe you're just with the wrong one. You move forward, she doesn't. Two different speeds can't stay together. She's the brake, you're the engine." He said nothing, but his eyes answered.
Well, he came home energized, no trace of fatigue. Sarah welcomed him with pilaf and apple pie. Remember, Grandma always said, apples can sweeten even the saddest day. Daniel shoved his chair back. Sarah, enough. Grandma again. The past again. When will you let it go? We need a future, not a museum. Cold words. Cutting. Sorry, he said. I've got things to do. The things waited in a small cafe on the edge of town. Catherine was already there with her laptop and 2 coffees. You came, she smiled. So you've decided. I'm deciding. I can't live like this anymore. I need to move forward. She'll sign the divorce? Not at once, but I know how to push. The loan, the burden, it's all on me. She knows she can't keep up. If I handle it right, she'll hand everything over. He opened his tablet. The apartment is in both names, but under mortgage. Her old place, collateral. If she exits and pays her share, I keep the property. Legal. She starts from 0. Catherine leaned back. Bold, but you're not a monster. Just calculating. I'm not a monster, just tired of being in someone's shadow. And you're right, she smiled. I won't hold you back. I've got my own place, my own business. I'm not clinging to relics. We're alike. We build, we move forward. They clinked coffee cups.
At home, Sarah cleared the uneaten pie. The air smelled of cinnamon and of her grandmother. She didn't know the details, but felt the house growing colder. Nights blurred. Daniel took his phone to the bathroom. When she asked, "Who are you texting?" he snapped, "Don't be paranoid. Work." He rarely slept at home now. Meetings, company party, crashing at a colleague's. Sarah whispered to Emily on the phone, have you ever thought he might be cheating?" Emily sighed. "I thought so, but didn't want to say. He's changed." What if I lose everything? The apartment, myself. Then start with the papers. Know exactly what you hold. The next day, Sarah met with a lawyer. A young woman scanned the documents. "See this? You signed as a co-borrower. If he exits, the obligations shift to you, but ownership remains shared. So, I could lose everything? Yes, especially if he sells his share or pushes in court." Sarah stumbled outside. Snow was falling in thin flakes. He planned it all. He pulled me in, and I signed. That evening, Daniel returned, smelling of cologne and someone else's shampoo, carrying sushi and wine. "Thought we could have dinner. Been a while." "With you or with Catherine?" Sarah whispered. He froze, then smirked. "So you're spying now? Or your friends are?" I just opened my eyes, then opened them wider. You live in the past. I've moved on, and I won't drag someone stuck in a museum. He dropped the sushi on the table. "I'm not a monster, but I'm no victim either. I'll live. You decide." Minutes later, he left with a bag. "Staying at my mother's. Think it over. I warned you." Sarah sat at the table, the sushi untouched, the wine unopened. He didn't just betray me. He prepared me for it, step by step. And I cleared the way for him. But this time, no tears. Only clarity. Morning came quiet. The bed empty. For the first time in weeks, Sarah felt no fear. Only resolve. He won't leave on his own. He'll force me out. Unless I stop him now, he'll take everything. The first thing Sarah did was go to a notary. She requested certified copies of everything: the apartment, marital property, the mortgage. The notary was surprised. Most people arrive rattled. Sarah was composed. Firm voice, quick movements. Someone who no longer doubts. Next, she met an independent attorney, recommended by Emily. The lawyer read silently for a long time, then closed the folder. "You're on the edge, Sarah, but you're not trapped. The key is to act. Fast." The lawyer explained. If Daniel filed for divorce and simultaneously demanded reimbursement of contributions, he could try to claim part of the old apartment as marital investment, since it was pledged as collateral. But you can counterfile, cite hidden income, misuse of mortgage funds for personal purposes, and prove pressure. Not easy, possible. And if I withdraw from the loan, done properly, through court and with paperwork, you can reclaim the old apartment. It will take time, but it's protectable. No more verbal promises. Paper only. Facts only. Meanwhile, Daniel and Catherine were mapping strategy. We file. Say she's unstable, jealous, unpredictable. I'll bring texts where she accuses me. I'll show she threatened to abandon the mortgage. The bank will prefer me as primary borrower. She'll step out. Catherine nodded. Don't pity her. This is business. She's weaker. She'll lose. We'll formalize everything. You'll be free, and the place yours. But the next day, Daniel got a surprise. He came home expecting tense silence. Sarah was composed. A folder of copies lay on the table. I know what you're planning, she said evenly. I met with a lawyer. I see the scheme. But you miscalculated one thing. I don't surrender. This is my home, my family, my walls, my roots. You won't take what was handed to me with love. He tried to smirk and couldn't. You think you have a chance? I'm already using it. And you'll have to explain not only to the court, but to yourself, why you fear a woman who simply wants to keep what is hers. That evening, Sarah filed an official request to the bank to audit the use of mortgage funds, submitted a report for financial coercion, and lodged a claim to review the contract terms for violations of her rights as co-owner. From that day, things got harder for Daniel. And Sarah, for the first time in a long while, went to bed feeling herself return. She hadn't won yet, but she was no longer a victim. That was the win that mattered. The hearing was quiet and strictly formal. No shouting, no theatrics. Daniel arrived confident, a folder under his arm. Beside him, a quick, hard-pushing young lawyer. Sarah wore a simple dress, hair pulled back. In her hands, copies and an official motion to revise the shared ownership terms. Beside her sat her attorney, strict, balanced, assured. Daniel argued he alone was solvent, that Sarah removed herself, didn't choose the place, didn't help set it up, and thus had no moral right to equal shares. He produced cherry-picked texts where she voiced fears. She lives in the past. She holds me back. This apartment is my work, my connections, my career, my decisions. Your Honor, Sarah's attorney replied calmly. Both the mortgage and the deed named two owners. Sarah pledged her own apartment and assumed obligations. All terms are joint. If he claims he carried it alone, let him prove he used neither her money nor her consent. There were several sessions. The court took its time. Daniel began to fray. The confident mask cracked. Then the bank issued a report. Part of the funds had been spent without the consent of both borrowers. A minor breach. Enough for Sarah. The court sided with fairness. Sarah kept her share. Moreover, under the revised order, she was granted the right to buy out Daniel's share if she took over the remaining mortgage. The old apartment was restored to her ownership. Daniel had to move out. She stayed. He didn't say goodbye. He left the keys in the mailbox and texted, "Good luck. We're too different." Months passed. The apartment changed. Not its walls, its air. Sarah took down heavy curtains, rearranged furniture, brought back a few of her grandmother's things. Not museum pieces, living ones. The kitchen again smelled of apples and vanilla. She didn't rush. She worked, met with property rights advisors, learned how to protect herself. She breathed more evenly. Catherine called once, wrote later, and then disappeared. Of Daniel, Sarah heard little, only from Emily. He'd moved firms, changed numbers, and rumor had it, lived alone. One day, Sarah looked at an old photo. She and her grandmother by the window. Lamplight, a blanket, 2 cups of tea. Everything was there. Home, calm, truth. And she understood, clearly at last. To keep memory, you don't have to cling to walls.
You have to know who you are and what you must never give away. Not for love, not for compromise, not for empty promises. Because a home isn't square footage. Home is a choice.